Hello and welcome to Stretford Paddock. This is the news. It is live, so get in the comments. We've got loads to talk about. Anderson, price tag revealed. I think it was Florian Plettenberg has been tweeting about Manchester United's interest in the Nottingham Forest midfielder. We'll get into that. Is he too expensive? Is he someone that we can just rule out, or should United go all out to try and bring this guy in to lock down the midfield for the next decade potentially? We've got loads of other transfers as well. Some more youngsters that United are interested in. This seems to be a really big part of Ineos and sort of Jason Wilcox's kind of MO at Manchester United. They want to get these kids in before they cost 30, 40, 50, 60 million. Get them in on that contract when they become, go from being a sort of young teenager to being a young adult. That's the crucial time to bring these players in. There's another couple of names on that list that United seem to be going after. There's loads to talk about as well. But before that, get in the chat, get in the comments. And also, another day. This is right. Downside to Man United losing to Tottenham last season, we can't win the Champions League. We don't get to play in the Champions League. We don't get to have those brilliant Champions League nights. That is a huge downside. Tiny upside, though. When United win, you get to revel in it for a full week. I felt fantastic waking up this morning. It's brilliant. We've still won 3 games in a row. That's not going to change on Wednesday. That's not going to change tonight. It's not going to change Thursday night. That's going to last at least, well, it's going to change either way after the game, isn't it? That's going to last all the way till Saturday at 3 o'clock. United have won 3 games in a row. It's a good time to be a Manchester United fan, and we can just revel in it for a full week. It's absolutely brilliant. Santanoch says, beautiful, isn't it, Joe? It is. It really is. I don't want to start with Anderson, actually. I want to get to him in a little bit. Let's start with some of these youngsters. Let's start with... let's go with Monga to start with. Manchester City lead the race for Leicester wonderkid Jeremy Monga. TBR Football, interesting, understands that Man City are currently leading the race among Premier League rivals to sign Jeremy Monga. Man City came close to securing the 16-year-old. Hate that phrasing. But at this time, Monga chose to sign his scholarship forms with Leicester. Fair enough. The team winger had since become a first-team regular for the Foxes, which was a key factor in his decision to stay. There you can see him. Despite this, City's interest has persisted, and they're reportedly preparing a fresh approach. However, Leicester, cannot prevent Monga from leaving, as he is not eligible to sign a professional deal until he turns 17 next June. And this is that kind of corridor of uncertainty that so many teams seem to be preying on. I think that is the right phrase to use, because it is a little bit predatory, but if there's a gap in the sort of workings of things, you're going to get big teams sort of snooping around. And here we go, look. Tottenham, Chelsea and Man United and Newcastle, 2 ands there, which is weird. You don't really see that. Tottenham, Chelsea and Man United and Newcastle, like it's like a 6-year-old's writing their diary. We went to the pub and the museum and we had fish and chips and we had a run around the park and Mum and Dad had an argument and we went to bed. Thanks very much for reading that out this morning. That's really lovely of you. Give us the teddy bear back that went with you. Tottenham, Chelsea and Man United and Newcastle also monitoring Jeremy Monga. City are not alone in their pursuit. Tottenham, Chelsea, Manchester United and Newcastle, there you go, all understood to be monitoring the England youth star closely. He's previously been happy to remain at Leicester due to the first team opportunities that he's been afforded. The club's main hope of retaining their homegrown talent. So obviously Leicester now in the Championship, which in a way is sort of the perfect kind of, proving ground for youngsters, isn't it? It's the sort of place that you would want to send a 16-year-old wonder kid, or maybe not 16, maybe 17, 18-year-old wonder kid out on loan to get first-team minutes in a difficult league, in a physical league. And he's kind of getting to do that at his own parent club in Leicester. Now, in terms of what he's about, I'll be honest, I don't know too much about him. I know that he's a winger. I know he plays for Leicester. I know he's starting games from this season. I think he's made 11 appearances already in the Championship. He did play a couple of games from last season as well in the Premier League. He looks good. And again, it's more a case of, will United step in here? Because it sounds like, that article to me reads as though City have got a sort of the front runners for this. Let's throw Newcastle and Tottenham and Man United in as well, just to get a few more eyes on this story. He's the third youngest ever Premier League player, by the way, when he came on for Leicester last season at 15 years, 271 days. Only Max Dowman and Ethan Nwaneri were younger for Arsenal. Arsenal love doing that, don't they? Proper cheesy. Oh, let's have the record. Let's bring an amoeba on. Let's bring a fetus on in a wheelbarrow. And then we've got the record forever. Just grow up. So we'll see. And if United are going to be trying to get in there on that sort of scholarship contract thing, and I wonder if that's a loophole that's going to get closed at some point, because it's such a difficult thing. Because in the past, I mean, I know it still happens, but you would have gone all out to try and get youngsters in from a very young age. And all academies want that. You want, your Kobbie Mainoo, when was it, 10, 11 years old, he joined Manchester United. I think Marcus Rashford was the same. I know a lot of United players, especially in the Greater Manchester area, United are trying to get these youngsters from 6. So I get that you still want to do that. But when there's this absolute massive loophole of, Leicester, you train him up at your brilliant training ground, by the way, or, wherever it is. And then when they turn 17, they basically just get to choose if they leave for essentially free or not. And that's the point we're going to put all the pressure on them. I don't know. I'm glad that we're trying to do this. I'm glad that we're not getting sort of left behind by the likes of Chelsea and Man City. We did it with Aidan Heaven. We did it with Cheeto. I think with Heaven in particular to great success. He's already, first team, I wouldn't say regular this season, but he's very much a first team presence. But I do feel a little bit sorry for clubs who, United are going to face the same problem with JJ Gabriel in a couple of years, I think, where you're going to get to that age where other teams can basically just steal them for free. And I get you're dealing with children here, so the law has to be a certain way. You can't lock a child down to a 10-year contract. I'm not suggesting that, but I just wonder if there's some way around this. Maybe you put up the compensation numbers, who knows? But it seems a little bit sort of, I don't know, it allows big clubs to push around other clubs, which typically, who cares? But I do think with youngsters in particular, you think that's the sort of players that someone like Leicester will, they've been sort of nurturing players like that only for the big clubs to take them before they're even worth anything. I don't know, it feels a little bit harsh to me. We'll see. What are people saying? Get JJ Gabriel on. That'd be good. Have a little interview with him, chat to him, we'll see what we can do. Bit late, but all right, lads. Hey, Joe. Hello, George. My 3-year-old boy saw me watching and asked me what Jesus is talking about. That's from D&D. Interesting. It's a weird lesson, isn't it? If you do genuinely think I was Jesus, watching this and then going into RE at school the next day going, Monga. That's what Jesus talked about to his disciples. How very strange. Let's move on to our next story then. Let's go with Anderson, because this is the main story on the thumbnail. This was from Florian Plettenberg, obviously. I would say quite reliable journalist. I don't think he's tier 1, top, but he's certainly a journalist with very good connections, is someone that has had big stories, broken big news in the past. He's not someone to sort of reject out of hand. He's a prominent and good journalist. He said that Manchester United and Newcastle are just 2 of many top clubs closely monitoring Elliot Anderson. Their interest has already been registered. Forest are aware, we'd hope so, because otherwise the interest hasn't been registered very well, has it? Key player, understood, and this is, say it with me, the big moment. A transfer in the summer, a fee of around 100 to 120 million is currently being demanded. Hey! It's the we've got a good young midfielder price. Thanks, Chelsea. This is what happens when you buy Moises Caicedo and Enzo Fernandez for 110 million quid each. Every kid who's had a season at the top level or thereabouts is worth 120 million quid now. That's what Baleba they want for Baleba. That's what they want for Anderson. That's what Palace are going to want for Wharton. I think he's a really good player, and I think it's when you watch him. I know I'm not saying no one has ever watched Forest, and I have, because obviously plenty of people watch plenty of games. But I think watching him for Forest, you realise kind of what he's about. You realise why he's so highly rated. Because from the outside looking in, you think, okay, what's he really good at? He's not particularly quick. He's not that good defensively. He passes the ball well, but he's not a Paul Scholes, got every tool in the locker. He don't really get any goals. What does he do? He's just absolutely ever present for Forest. He's every time anyone wants to give someone the ball, he's there to receive it. He plays the ball forward well. He plays the ball forward very quickly. He's got that kind of Michael Carrick touch, bang, and he's always trying to break it through the lines. And the fact that he's had the most touches and passes in the Premier League this season, which I like that. It should be a midfielder, but typically it's centre-backs that have those numbers. It's Van Dijk, it's Lewis Dunk, it's that kind of player where you're playing out from the back and you're doing that horseshoe pass endlessly, trying to keep possession in your own half. The fact that it's not only a midfielder, but a Forest midfielder, who I know they had the spell with Ange Postecoglou where they were trying to keep more possession, but even before he was there, Anderson is just constantly on the ball. And I think if United want a player that can help us control games, that can help us keep possession when we're 2 goals up. I know we've done a good job against Chelsea, against Sunderland, against Liverpool, and now against Brighton of winning games that we're in the lead, which is a very good trait to have, by the way, not dropping points from winning positions. But if you really want to lock that down, I think someone like Anderson would be a brilliant way of doing that. And he's creative at the same time. So I think he's really good. But 100 to 120 million, it's a lot of money, isn't it? It's a hell of a lot of money. I don't know. And Newcastle being one of the names linked with him, ironically, because they're the ones that sold him for FFP reasons, basically, didn't they? And it's funny as well that where Newcastle fans and Newcastle will tell you, we had to sell him. This is a disgrace. FFP is a disgrace. We had to sell him. Haven't Newcastle spent about 150 million this summer? Ended up getting one decent player out of it. So it's not, how much have Newcastle spent? Because it does made in this whole narrative about, it's not fair, it's not fair. Well, also, you wouldn't have had any of this money if it weren't for literal trillionaires that came in and bought your club. So that's the first point. The second point is, it's not anyone else's fault that you bought Jacob Ramsey for 45 million, Johan Wissa for 50 million, and he's been injured, and his contract expired at the end of the season, and you spent 55 million on Anthony Elanga. You spent 278 million euros this transfer window. No one made you sell Elliot Anderson. If you had 275 million, how about we drop that down by 70 million, you don't sign Wissa, or you don't sign Elanga, and you get to keep this £100 million midfielder. Bad judgment isn't oppression. It does made in all this, we had to sell him, it's a disgrace. No, you didn't. You just didn't. And you've also, anyway. Annoying. But it looks like they want him back. And if they do, it's going to cost them 100 million. What do people think? Let me know your thoughts on that price tag. Because it is just, on one hand, it's absurd, but on the other hand, it's sort of the going rate. Declan Rice was in that ballpark. Baleba, they want that. Caicedo was in that ballpark. I know Lavia went for a little bit cheaper in the end, didn't he? But what was he, 75 million? Then you've got Enzo Fernandez, 105 million. If you want a big name or sort of young, exciting, potentially world-class midfielder, it's sort of 6 figures at the moment. And I say 6 figures, 9 figures. No way he's worth 100 million. Pog back vibes. Wharton is a little bit more established than Anderson. He is. Too much if we pay it, hilariously spot on if Newcastle pay it, says Adam Kenny. Well, wouldn't it be funny if they were so skint that they couldn't afford him, they had to let him go. We can't keep you. We got to let you go. And then they spend 100 million getting him back. That would be fantastic, wouldn't it? Oh, this is the Red Cartel's fault. This is everyone else's fault. We've had to waste 80 million net transfer fee on our own player. And it's everyone else's fault, I'm sure. Dave Taylor says it's wild, Joe, 55 to 60 million max. Yeah, I think I would probably go up to the next bracket. I think between 70 and 85 million. I'd be comfortable with that. I think there you're looking at a big statement signing, but it's not someone that every single touch of the ball they have has to be perfect. Otherwise, they're a flop. Like Paul Pogba, if we'd have spent 60 million on Paul Pogba, he would have been a phenomenal signing for Man United. He had so many good games for us. But when it's 90 million... and it's Manchester United. Let's not forget that, because Enzo Fernandez is not held to the same standard that Paul Pogba was. He just isn't. Every touch that Paul Pogba had, it had to be good. Every game that he played, he had to help us win it. Every tough moment that we were in, Paul Pogba had to pull us out. And if he didn't, he was a flop. So we've got to bear that in mind. I think the one thing with Anderson that will help, because he's English, you'll have a lot of pundits that want him to succeed. That will be a potential help if you did sign him. Him or Wharton would have the same thing. where it's like they all want him to play for England and be good for England, so completely slamming him isn't going to benefit them. The likes of Neville and Carragher and a lot of the pundits on Sky Sports, Merson and, I don't need to go through them all, will want him to be a success from an England point of view. So they might be a little bit gentler on him if he doesn't have the best of starts. Again, we're miles away from even signing this guy, but I just think we've got to factor everything in when we're spending that sort of money. What is the expectation? What standards will he be held to? And how likely is he to live up to those standards? If Anderson's 100 million, how much is Wharton worth? I mean, Anderson's ahead of Wharton in the England pecking order. I don't think Wharton would be worth any more than Anderson necessarily. Anderson's seen as this kind of, tempo setter. He controls games. He's starting regularly for England under Thomas Tuchel. I wouldn't say Adam Wharton just because he's been around a couple of years longer or been more visible over the last 3 or 4 years. I don't think he is worth any more than Anderson. Geordie Pilling says, Joe, I didn't know you had superpowers. I was watching you whilst driving home yesterday when my tyre blew. Thanks, mate. Pop. What we got next? Andy Mitten shares Man United's plan for Charlie Hardy after signing him amid tough competition. Now there's a headline for you. Ineos's aggressive youth recruitment drive is continuing at pace, even outside the transfer window, with Charlie Hardy becoming the latest youngster to put pen to paper at Man United. Youth recruitment has been a key focus for Ineos at Man United, be it poaching players from other English clubs like Chido Obi and Aidan Heaven, or casting their net wide for youngsters like Diego Leon and Sekou Kone. Charlie Hardy is the latest to fall into the former bracket, with Andy Mitten recently reporting that Hardy is set to sign for Manchester United. 16-year-old goalkeeper will join United's academy from Derby County, and Mitten has shared plans for the Wonder Kid. There you go, look, training with England. Goalkeeper is a tricky position for United, even more so. Let me start that again. Goalkeeper is a tricky position in academy football, even more so at Man United, because they have a rich crop of talent between the sticks. Love that. Eli Harrison and Radek Vitek are two prospects of genuine quality out on loan, while the likes of William Murdoch in the under-21s and Fred Heath / Cameron Byrne-Hughes are impressing for the under-18 side. However, the goalkeeper needs to be challenged with the first team football soon, so expect 1 or 2 of the 3 names at the club to go on loan. And here's the quote here from Andy Mitten talking on Talk of the Devils, as producer Ben drops loads of stuff on the keyboard and zooms in ridiculously on the article. He will be correcting that now. Love that. What fell on the keyboard then? His notepad and pen fell onto the keyboard. What does Andy Mitten say? Let's have a look. He says the transfer was cleared on Thursday, which was obviously 5 days ago. He's England's under-18s keeper, playing under Neil Ryan, who have been after him for a long time. When you sign players from English clubs, they have to go through a 5-step process which the Premier League oversees. That was completed on Thursday afternoon, so he'll sign a scholarship and he'll be eligible for a professional contract when he's turned 17 in July, which is kind of this sort of repeating pattern now, isn't it? And on that, I want to get to some more of these kind of similar transfers. But before that, check out the link. It's in the chat. It's in the description for all of our new clothing. You can see it all there. If we can pause that for a second, Ben, I don't know if that's possible. And I don't even have this one yet. I need to get this Paddock hoodie. It's absolutely fantastic. I love that logo. There's loads of cool stuff on there. As you can see, t-shirts, hoodies, long sleeve shirts, everything you could want really. Loads of cool designs on there. Go and check it out. It's a load of new stuff. I know I've mentioned this a few times, but if you haven't been on since we've changed it, and even if you have, now's a good time to buy them. If you want to buy Christmas presents as well, now is a really good time to buy it. If you're watching and someone else you know is a Stretford Paddock fan, now's a good time to get those ordered and make sure they're definitely here for Christmas. I know it's early. I haven't even started thinking about Christmas presents yet, but just so you know, that is the link is in there, and it's a very good time to start buying that stuff. So thank you very much to anyone who has bought it as well. Go and check that out. Let's carry on with this theme then. These youngsters. Let's go with Kerim Alejbegovic. Apologies if I got that wrong. Exclusive. Understand FC Porto, Manchester United and Chelsea are closely monitoring the situation of Kerim Alejbegovic at Red Bull Salzburg. The Austrian Bundesliga breakout star is the youngest Bosnian international and goal scorer ever. Bayer Leverkusen have a buyback clause. Okay, so we're obviously going to have to get past Bayer Leverkusen here, aren't we? That's the thing. This is sort of the when Real Madrid signed Alvaro Carreras this summer, Manchester United theoretically could have bought him back instead if they wanted. We chose not to. So it depends exactly, whether they want him back, whether this is something that's even possible. But again, it's another name, part of this sort of long-standing, long list of youngsters that United seem to be going for in and around that 16, 17, 18 bracket. I think this would be a transfer rather than this kind of loophole. I know that's not the best way of putting it because I don't think it's a loophole, but rather than going for players during this period between being a child and an adult, or you can kind of get them on their first deal, I think this would be a full transfer. But again, we'll have to wait and see on this one because it's very much an early interest there. The next one, Kevin Filling. Man United are in concrete negotiations over transfer for Kevin Filling, the 16-year-old with those traps. Look at the neck on the kid. Look at that. The muscles on the neck. He's 16. Jesus. 16-year-old talented striker could leave AIK as early as this winter. Price evaluation around 3 million. Some Bundesliga clubs are also consider him interesting. Do you want to sign me? I think you're interesting, yeah. No, that's not the same thing, is it? No, but you're very interesting. See you later. Kevin Filling. Again, what do we know about him? He's a young Swedish attacker, which they seem to be having a pretty good crop of attackers at the moment, don't they? So I wonder what's gone on there. I think we probably need to go back probably about 10 years and see just how Sweden have ended up with all these sort of top-level strikers. I know Gyökeres maybe isn't top-level, but you got Isak, you got Gyökeres, you got a lot of youngsters coming through. Maybe it's the Ibrahimovic effect. Who knows? But again, he's another one to keep an eye on. I don't know too much about him, to be honest with you. I know that, like we said before, he plays for AIK, which is a Swedish team, and they play in the Strawberry Arena, which couldn't be cuter if it tried, could it? They play in the Strawberry Arena in Stockholm. So one to keep an eye on there, and obviously if there are any updates on that or any changes or United making any official bids, we'll bring it to you as soon as it happens. Zlatan and Larsson were those days, eh? Yeah, potentially. I mean, they've always had good players. Let's not act like Sweden haven't been a good footballing team for a long time. But it does feel as though they're having another little sort of crop of good players, doesn't it? Although it doesn't seem to be amounting to World Cup qualification at the moment. Finally, then, let's talk about AFCON a little bit. We all know, of course, who's that? Souček with the worst black eye you've ever seen. We all know that United are going to sting a little bit during the African Cup of Nations. And Burmo Ahmad, and although it says there, it doesn't mention Mazraoui, but Mazraoui presumably as well, all going to be going away for a number of games. Now, I'm sure potentially some of you have done this working out yourselves, but here is the list of games that they could miss, and it's actually quite a lot, to be honest. So we don't need the group stage matches. So they're certain to miss the following: Newcastle at home and Wolves at home over Christmas. Then these are the ones that they could possibly miss. Now, if we get a Cameroon versus Ivory Coast final, or Cameroon versus Morocco final, they're going to miss the following games: Bournemouth, Aston Villa, Leeds, Burnley, the FA Cup third round tie, whatever that is, and Man City at home. Go back. Certain to miss December 27th and 30th. One sec. Aston Villa on the 21st is close to the start of the tournament that both players are likely to miss. Bournemouth at home on December 15th may be up for discussion between club and countries. Okay, so go down. So these first couple here, Bournemouth and Villa, you're not guaranteed to miss them. I'm sure we can maybe send the players a little bit later. It's those ones. It's Leeds, Burnley, FA Cup, and then Man City if they get to the final. And obviously, who knows whether they're going to need a bit of time to sort of cool off a little bit afterwards. It's a lot of games in a short run, usually tournaments, isn't it? So if you've got to a final, you might need a week or two to cool down. Because it's a mid-season tournament, maybe they won't be given that quite as much time off like you would at the end of the season. But that is potentially very kind of damaging. I would say it's the Villa game, it's the Newcastle game. What's the game on the first again. The 30th. It's the Wolves game, the Burnley game, the FA Cup game, and the Man City game. It's a lot of matches. I think Mbeumo and Ahmad in particular are going to be a big miss. Hopefully by then, Mason Mount obviously he'll be back this week. You'd have thought he'll be up and running in terms of goals and assists as well. Cunha will have sort of cemented his goal scoring form, and we can potentially, live without Mbeumo for a few matches. He is arguably our best player at the moment, though, so it's going to be a big miss, especially with him. But we'll see. Maybe January sales are possible, potentially, to get some players in. Hi, Strawberry is a Nordic hotel chain, and they sponsor the stadium. Thank you very much, David PR. That's very good. That's nice to know that. Does Victor Soccerade count in that crop of top players? Well, he cost 65 million quid, so you'd think so, wouldn't you? But then when you watch him play, I'm not so sure. There you go. That's going to be all from us today. We've got loads coming up, though. We've got Uncensored with myself and Adam McCullough. I can't wait to get his thoughts on the weekend's goings-on, especially with City, Chelsea and Liverpool all losing as well. That's going to be coming out later today. And then we've got loads, including the return of Jay Motti tomorrow. Plenty to get into there, plenty to talk about with him, no doubt. So there's loads coming up on the channel. So stay tuned. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and we'll see you in a bit.